Jupiter in Cancer, everything that you need to know. None of the bullshit, all the real shit. It is what it is. Get the gems, don't. That's up to you. Godspeed. Life be life, and I'll be trying to help people out. Straight up. So, with that being said, this first part of this video is going to be me going over the transits of this Jupiter in Cancer, everything that entails the transit in and of itself. Part 2, 3, and 4 and 5 will be me talking about the zodiac signs. All right, and how it affects your zodiac sign. So be on the lookout for those videos. All right, but without further ado, let's get to it. All right, Jupiter in Cancer. So this transit is taking place with a Mercury conjunction already happening. Again, depending on when you're seeing this video, this direct conjunction between Mercury and Jupiter happened in Gemini a day or two earlier. The thing is that you really want to understand with this Jupiter in Cancer transit is that Cancer represents the past. Yeah, it could represent being loving and nurturing and all that other shit, but let's be real. Cancer deals with the past. Understand that the actions that you take, Aries, helps you to understand value, Taurus. And based off of these actions that you take, based on these values, you come to gain some understanding, Gemini. All right. But when we get into Cancer, we understand the information that we tapped into. And now is the first time we can actually deal with the emotional aspect of everything that we just done. All right, this is the quintessential essence of Cancer. So again, we're thinking about shit we've already done. Nostalgia is a big key word that you can, tap in with when explaining this Jupiter in Cancer transit. Now, this is important. The ruler of Cancer is the moon. And where is the moon? It's in the sixth house, Sagittarius. Please understand about Sagittarius. As a fire sign, this is mutable fire. So we are, changing and adapting and doing some different shit altogether. Sagittarius is all about exploration, looking at things from a higher perspective. All right, faith, belief, things of this nature. All right, and then telling other people about the experiences that we've been through. So this moon in Sagittarius, we're definitely doing some different shit. Stepping outside of our comfort zones is a big key, right? And this is important because us stepping outside of our comfort zone is making it in conjunction with this Mercury. Um, Meanwhile, also making it in conjunction to this Venus and Taurus. You see, the issue that you're having is because you have this sense of nostalgia, but you're a different person. The last time Jupiter was in Cancer was in 2013. I hope you are a different person from then. But if not, it is what it is because you're actually battling, um, staying the same, which is really what you want to do. Let's be honest. You don't want shit to change. You want to do the same shit you've been doing. But you understand in order for you to really get the most out of this transit and or this energy, you got to do some different shit. And you've probably been going back and forth between the two. That's important. Um, but let's not forget we do have a Sagittarius Neptune conjunction happening in Aries. All right, you're supposed to be taking responsibility for your actions, and you've probably been lying to yourself. Depending on how Saturn sets up in your chart, Saturn might have been whooping your ass lately. Let's be real, right? Please understand that this Saturn Neptune conjunction in Aries is being ruled by Mars and Leo. God damn. Right? So you already been expressing yourself and how you feel about shit. Whether this is through your words or through your creative expression or just through your expression at all. All right, Leo is the star. So you've been putting yourself out there, saying things with your whole chest. That's cool, but please remember we got to take responsibility for our actions. You may have, a large following. How are you affecting the people that you are influencing? Is it for good or is it for bad? Is one or the other, right? Let's be real. Nonetheless, all of this is being based off this Jupiter in Sagittarius energy. We're going to need to do some things differently. Please. All right. If you want to nostalgia, that's cool. But remember, you're not the same person from 2013. So doing the, different shit is probably going to be your best bet. Cancers. So we have Jupiter and Mercury in the first house. Jupiter is the planet of knowledge, faith, belief. Mercury is the planet of knowledge as well, but it deals with critical thinking and speech. So again, we have a bigger sense of belief in ourselves to do what it is that we need to do. All right, this Mercury Jupiter conjunction just happened in Gemini. So again, we've been doing some self reflection. We understand we had to have a conversation with ourselves about how we showing up, and how people are perceiving us. All right, and the journey that we are on. All right, understand that this Cancer first house is being ruled by a moon in Sagittarius in the sixth house. So this understanding that when it comes to the things that we're doing on a day-to-day basis, we're gonna have to do some things differently. We are. Is really no way around it. And the hard part is we really don't want to do it. Let's be honest. Venus, the planet of wants and desires, and Taurus, consistency, stability, doing the same shit over and over. Yeah, we don't want to change. We don't want to change Venus, right? But we ultimately understand that if we want to make the most, if we really want to be that vibrant person that we know that we can be, even though we do be trying to hide cancers, y'all do be trying to hide, right? But we understand that you can show up better. You can take better care of yourself by just doing things a little bit different. All right, I'm gonna need y'all to tap in, get a reading with me if you need more information and how this is gonna affect you personally. Scorpios, Scorpio rising, Scorpio suns. Um, this Jupiter transit is taking place in your ninth house, your philosophy, the shit that you standing on, right? Your morals, your ethics, your principles. Yeah, being loving and nurturing or taking care of and protecting the people, places, and things that you really care about. Yeah, these things are changing because your principles are changing. Your values itself is changing. Second house, right? So the way and the things that you value aren't the same. They aren't the same. The battle is that you want them to stay the same because you feel as though they're going to affect the people closest to you. All right. Scorpio is ruled by Mars, and Mars is in the 10th house. All right. So you've been focused on your public image and how you want to show up to the public. But again, that understanding is really being based off of this eighth house, right? That conversation you got to have with yourself. Yeah, that change. You understood, you're going through a transformation, more than likely. And so now that you've gone through this transformation and probably still going through it, which is why you're dealing with all these emotions, you understand that because your values have changed, your relationships will change because of how you want to show up publicly. All right. If you don't take care of your power, if you don't, step into your power, somebody else will bypass you. So the decision is yours. Pisces, this Jupiter in Cancer transit is happening in your fifth house of joy and pleasure. All right. So we've been thinking about more and more about the things that actually bring us joy. All right. And it's probably a lot of things that taken place in our childhood. Again, we're dealing with the past. So, nostalgia. All right. When it comes to the things that bring us joy and pleasure, we do understand that things have changed. All right. We have a public image to upkeep. Right. We have a status, a reputation we're trying to uphold. All right. But again, the people, places, and things within our immediate environment, more so the people, right? They want us to stay the same. They want things to be how they always been. But because of this public image, we are changing. We are expressing ourselves different. We're doing some different shit. The ruler of Pisces is Jupiter, and because Jupiter is in this fifth house, yeah, we're going back to the old us. All right. Just remember, be responsible for your actions, especially the shit that you're doing on a day to day, because it does directly affect your money. All right. If it's tight, yeah, be on the lookout for that. Aries. Now, this Jupiter and Cancer transit is taking place in your fourth house. Maybe there's a bigger focus on family. Maybe we got a message from a sibling or a loved one, somebody very close to us. Let us know we need to spend a little bit more time with the family. So now that is the focus. Maybe it's not the family. Maybe it's something that we used to do in our childhood. I'm thinking it's family. But either way, there's a bigger focus on that. The ruler of the fourth house is the moon, and the moon is in Sagittarius ninth house. So, maybe now that we're dealing more with family, uh, our principles have changed. The things that we've come to understand, our knowledge, our philosophy, yeah, those things have changed. Um, but again, there's an issue because ultimately we may want to stay the same. Again, second house, there's certain things when it comes to our bread that could be affecting us and why we feel the way that we feel. The big thing is that the rule of Aries is Mars. Mars is in the fifth house. So maybe the thing is that we've been tapping into the things that bring us joy and pleasure. All right, that's really been a theme as of lately. Um, and this has an effect on our bread. All right. Maybe the things that we're doing that brings us joy and pleasure is helping us make money, but ultimately we understand that our principles have changed. This is something that we've come to understand from a sibling or a family member, which is, I'm assuming, who told us this information. Again, we got to be responsible for ourselves. We can't be lying to ourselves about the shit that we're doing and how it's affecting us and the people closest to us. All right, keep that in mind. Leos, this Jupiter in Cancer transit is taking place in your 12th house. This is you from a spiritual, psychological, and or emotional level. We need to be taking better care of ourselves. Maybe we got a message from a friend. Maybe because of our focus on our goals and aspirations, we will receive some message from somebody that we need to take better care of ourselves, especially from a spiritual, psychological, and or emotional level. All right. The ruler of Leo is the sun, and where's the sun is in Gemini. All right. So there is a bigger focus on, being out in public, being seen, but also, we got goals and aspirations we're trying to obtain. The theme has been for you to express yourself more. All right. But please remember that we have to take responsibility for our actions and our beliefs. All right. We can come off and be a little bit more conflict driven, a little bit more aggressive. And so we got to take responsibility for that. We can't lie to ourselves. All right. Because we are a little bit more aggressive. Mars is in the first house. All right. But again, take better care of yourself because again, in order for you to obtain those goals, especially externally, we got to take care of the internal first. Sagittarius, this Jupiter in Cancer transit is taking place in your eighth house. So I would assume there's some transformation taking place. Maybe we've had a conversation with a loved one, somebody that's very close to us, and they let us know that, hey, we want things to go back to how they was. Remember, nostalgia when we're talking about Jupiter in the eighth house, right? We want things to go to how they were, but we do understand that in order for things to go back how they were, we do have to change. All right, we have to change, and that's probably the issue, right? Because again, you're always going through changes, so this isn't really nothing new for you, Sagittarius. But because the moon is here, it is making an in conjunction to this Venus in Taurus, right? In order for you to continue to change, you may not be able to do the same things that you've always done, and that's the things that you truly want and desire. Remember, we do have this Saturn and Neptune conjunction happening in our fifth house. So again, there's been, a call for us to, lessen our ability to tap into the things that bring us joy and pleasure. All right. And we probably don't want to do that because again, this is the things that we actually want to do on a day-to-day basis. But again, this Saturn and Neptune conjunction is being ruled by this Mars and Leo. All right. And because this Mars is in Leo, we've been a little bit more aggressive with our philosophy, maybe in our self expression, because we had to limit the things that we truly want and desire. But truly, it's up to you. Do you want to stay the same or do you want to, have things go back with our relationships to how they used to be? It's up to you. Taurus, all right, we have this Jupiter in Cancer transit happening in our third house. So again, nostalgia when it comes to the people, places, and things within our immediate environment. Maybe we're feeling a little homesick. Maybe we want to see some family, some friends. Again, this is something that we've come to understand. We got some clarification when it comes to our finances, which has been something we've been focused on lately. But again, in order for us to tap in with the people, places, and things that we are familiar with, that we're comfortable with, that we, cherish, we do understand that things have changed quite a bit. Because again, the ruler of this third house of Cancer is this moon in Sagittarius. So, in and of itself, things have changed maybe between the dynamics of the people that we care about. And ultimately, we've stayed the same. Just like a Taurus, right? You got Venus here. So again, there's a bigger focus on, how we're presenting ourselves, how we're showing up. But again, we got to understand that because we have this Mars and Leo, there's been a bigger focus, maybe some conflict, maybe we've been having some verbal back and forth with some family members. But again, we got to be responsible for our actions, okay? Because again, you do have Aries in the 12th house. So, yeah, this conflict that's happening with family is ultimately because, there's things that we have to understand about ourselves that maybe we've been doing, maybe we haven't really put that much time into it, but now there's a little bit more of a focus because again, the 12th house does represent you from a spiritual, psychological, and or emotional level, and Saturn is a spiritual planet. So, the next 2.5 years, yeah, we're going to be learning a little bit more about ourselves and how we be moving. And right now, family is definitely the mode of action. All right. So just keep that in mind towards us. Virgos. Now, this Jupiter in Cancer transit is happening in your 11th house of goals and aspirations, as well as friends and community. There's been a bigger focus on our goals and aspirations, which could be nostalgia. Maybe it's tapping back in with people that's very close to us, people that we cherish. It could be family in and of itself. Big thing is, the ruler of Virgo is Mercury. Mercury is in the 11th house. So, again, maybe you want to be out in public a little bit more. The thing is that the ruler of this 11th house of Cancer is the moon, and the moon is currently in your fourth house of home and family. So you got to understand that things have changed. You want to be outside, but things have changed. Maybe there's a little bit more focus on family, right? Maybe you want to be with family a little bit more. And you've been going back and forth between family as well as staying the same and doing what it is that you ultimately want to do, which is the things that you like to do. You are a little bit stubborn in that regard, Virgos. We still love y'all anyway. The big thing is, again, we got to take responsibility for our actions. You see, you're going through a certain transformation. There's things that you're learning that you have to stop doing. Right. This Aries, eighth house, Saturn, Neptune. We could lie to ourselves about, I'm not doing that, but yeah, you are. The ruler of Aries is Mars, and Mars is in your 12th house. This is all about you and the actions that you're taking. So if you really want to tap into this 11th house, which is really being ruled by, this moon in the fourth, tapping in with family, yeah, you can do a little bit of both. You can be outside and, still do the things that you want to desire. But I would assume that in order for you to really tap in with this family, you're not going to be able to do the things that you used to do. All right. Stop being hard headed. All right. Because again, Leo in the 12th does make you quite stubborn. You're gonna have to take responsibility for your actions, Virgos. All right. Capricorns, this Jupiter in Cancer transit is happening in our seventh house of one-on-one relationships. All right, partnerships, things of this nature. Nostalgia. We want things to go back to how they used to be. Right, but we do understand that the ruler of Cancer is the moon, and the moon is in our 12th house, Sagittarius. We want things to stay the same, or we want to tap into this nostalgia, but we have to understand that we have changed, and that we need to explore this understanding. Again, Sagittarius is all about faith and belief. So, what belief do you have in yourself and your relationships? This comes to mind. The big thing is that the ruler of Capricorn is Saturn, where Saturn is in the fourth house of home and family. So, again, this is definitely a relationship that is very, very close. Whether this is romantically or platonic, they feel like family. The big thing is that Saturn is in Aries, fourth house. Again, we got to take responsibility for our actions. The reason being is that Mars, which is ruling over this Saturn Neptune conjunction, right, is in the eighth house. So again, we've been going through some form of transformation, and ultimately we have to understand that because we've been going through these transformations, it's affecting um the family. It really is. And we can't lie to ourselves and say that it's not, because we've already got a message that, our actions that we take on a day-to-day basis, yeah, it's not gonna work. We're gonna have to change if we want this relationship to truly stay on point. But that starts with us. All right. We gotta understand ourselves at a deeper level. All right. We can't be surface level. I know Capricorns, you just want to work, keep your head down and, you know, one step at a time, but we really gonna have to switch it up. Doing the same shit we've been doing ain't gonna work moving forward. Okay. Gemini's, this Jupiter in Cancer transit is taking place in our second house. Again, nostalgia as it pertains to our finances. We want to, come up this year. Guess what? The ruler of the second house is the moon. The moon is in the seventh house, relationships. So even though, we may come into a little bit more money, maybe, things are looking a little bit better than they have through this understanding that we gained about ourselves. We do understand things are shifting within our relationships. All right, that is the direct effect on our finances at this time. So we're gonna have to take care of the people very close to us, make sure that they're good in some form or fashion. And the thing is that this moon in Sagittarius is making it in conjunction to our 12th house, Venus. All right, Venus and Taurus, we're already a little bit stubborn, Geminis, and so there's certain things that we want and desire. And it's pertaining to somebody else, and maybe they're going through changes. We want things to stay the same, or maybe we're staying the same. Maybe we're being a little bit stubborn, but ultimately we have to understand that there's a bigger focus as it pertains to the things that we have, and we're going to have to adjust. All right, with our partners, and the people that are very close to us, if we want things to work out. All right, Gemini's. Remember, be responsible for your actions. There's certain actions that we've been taking that we've been learning from, because again, this is happening in our third house, Leo. So, we got to make sure that we're being mindful of how we're expressing ourselves to the people closest to us, because you never know how you can take that to the public. All right. Again, you got Saturn, Neptune in a conjunction in Aries. Be honest, be upfront. Don't be lying to people. All right. Because the same lies you tell to people out in the world is the same lies that you might tell to the people within your immediate environment. We like to talk, so just be mindful, be responsible for the actions, and adjust where necessary. Libras, this Jupiter in Cancer transit is taking place in our 10th house, public image, reputation. There's a bigger focus here. Again, there's a certain sense of nostalgia. Maybe we go back to being somebody that we used to be, but the big thing is that the ruler of Cancer is the moon, and the moon is in the third house. We've changed. All right, especially our immediate environment has changed as well, and that's really what's showing up, because again, these changes is conflicting with this transformation that we're going through. And obviously, we want to stay the same, Libra. We do. We want to, keep doing the same things that we've always done. But ultimately, in order for us to truly tap into this public image and become the person, have the reputation that we want to have publicly, we ultimately will have to learn to change and adjust with the times. All right. Again, be responsible for your actions. You have Mars in your 11th house. So again, you're speaking out, you're telling people different things, but again, is this the best? Because again, you have Saturn and Neptune in the seventh house. So again, we should be, realistic when it comes to our relationships and where things stand. Because again, we got to take responsibility. All right, everything ain't for everybody. And if we're speaking about our relationships to other people, how is that affecting the relationship? All right. Again, we want things to go back to how they were. We want to be seen as this loving, nurturing person. Then guess what? We're gonna have to adjust with the times. We're gonna have to adjust with the times. That's just what it is. You're not gonna be able to say the same. All right. Again, the ruler of Libra is Venus. Venus is in the eighth house. So again, you're gonna be a little bit more stubborn in this regard. You feel like you shouldn't have to change. All right. But based on how it's looking, you probably will. And of course, I had to save the best for last. Aquarius. Now, this Jupiter in Cancer transit is taking place in our sixth house. There's a understanding, a certain sense of nostalgia when it comes to the things that we're doing on a day-to-day basis. All right, we should be leaning with our intuition. There has been a bigger focus on the things that bring us joy and pleasure, but again, there's work to be done. So we do have to understand that the rule of Cancer and the things that we're doing on a day-to-day basis is ruled by this moon in the 11th house. All right, when it comes to the things that we're doing, it's really based off of us, making the necessary changes, because again, we're supposed to be dealing with the public. All right, if we're working and we're not working with the public at this time, we're probably missing out on the bread. The thing is, excuse that. The thing is that this Mars is making I mean, this moon is making it in conjunction with Venus in the fourth house. So again, there's battling feelings. Maybe we're thinking about the things that we really want to do on a day to day, and in some form or fashion that may be interrupting or disrupting um what's going on within the home environment. All right. We could be a little bit stubborn, because again, this is where we're most comfortable. We don't want to change this, but ultimately we're going to have to. All right. The ruler of Aquarius is Saturn. Saturn is in Aries, third house. So again, we've been learning to trust in our actions. All right. We're leaders. We're known to be innovators, but in order to innovate, you have to take action, right? Take responsibility for your actions. The ruler of this Saturn Neptune conjunction happening in the third house is this Mars in the seventh house. All right, we've been focused a lot on our relationships, but we have to understand that the focus on our relationships is impacting the actions that we're taking in some form or fashion. You got to do what's best for you. All right, that is what it is. All right. Again, take in the input of our partners, but ultimately it's your decision on what it is that you ultimately decide to do. All right, be responsible. Take your time, but again, don't procrastinate. like, comment, and share the video if you found it helpful. And be on the lookout for how this Jupiter in Cancer transit will affect your zodiac sign. Peace.